This is Loyalty-Based Sales Strategies with Jen Suzuki, exclusively on CBT News.
Hey, welcome back everyone to Loyalty-Based Sales Strategies. I'm Jen Suzuki, your host, and I'm really honored to have my friend, my colleague, Kayla Kody. She's the Vice President of Richmond Ford Automotive Group. She's got over a decade in the business. She's got that reputation that's on point, and she's just known for her innovative thoughts, her actions, her leadership, and she's really helped a lot of people at Richmond Ford get into this modern, data-driven organization where culture and customer experience really matter. And I know this because I work with her service and her sales teams for years. Today, we're going to jump into what she's thinking about the service lane in 2025. Welcome, Kayla.
Thanks for having me, Jen.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be, in the same room as you because really, truly, I admire you and I always have because you are willing to take a risk. You're willing to try new things. I see you as very progressive. You're always fueling that customer life cycle and your approach really in fixed ops has been amazing. I really enjoy working with you and I'm really glad that you're here. So let's talk a little about the service lane. There's a lot of pressure on customer pay work right now. What are you seeing at Richmond Ford in terms of like demand, margin, growth in the department?
Okay, so I think across the nation, right, we have really high demand. We also have technician shortages, and we're battling a lot of things that I find a lot of people spend a lot of time talking about that we can't necessarily fix, right? So we focus on having great retention for our technicians and doing all that kind of stuff. But then we forget about back to basics processes in the service lane, making sure customers feel the warm welcome. No one is happy right now with the length of time it might take to get in. They're not happy with pricing. Like none of that is fun for our consumers right now. So we have to make sure we're taking the steps to make sure they get the warm welcome. We maximize every opportunity and we schedule intelligently.
So what does that mean though? Like schedule intelligently?
So at our stores, we do not go off of number of appointments. We don't go, oh, we can fit 8 appointments in today. We are completely based on hours. So what we're doing is we're saying this repair takes this many hours. That's how many we'll book out. We're doing a percentage of our total capacity. We're leaving a percentage for upsells to make sure that we're able to maximize those opportunities. Because how many times do we hear, oh, we don't have time to upsell that. We can't upsell that today. And that's frustrating for a consumer. And it does no favors to us as dealers either. Because if we're saying we don't have enough space for these customers to get in, we don't have enough capacity, and then we're not efficiently booking or efficiently managing the throughput, that's on us.
It's true. And, I think it compromises the guest experience. It compromises loyalty. I'm always gunning for this, and I think that ultimately we want to help that every team member be able to meet their income potential. So we can't really turn stuff away.
No, and we also want our guests not to leave frustrated. Hey, we found this thing wrong, but we don't have time to fix it today.
Yeah, you got to come back.
That's not fair. And then we're also telling our technicians, hey, we need to maximize every guest opportunity. That way they do feel covered when they leave. We were in this moment where we were just pushing through everything we could as fast as we could because of the capacity constraints that we just talked about. But that's not a great guest experience. So we really had to go back to the basics and say, how do we make this smarter?
Okay.
We know we can't keep doing things the same way. So first phase was, okay, let's schedule by hours and obviously skills. So we might have a specific percent for recall and maintenance.
I like this. Okay.
Yep. And then, okay.
No, go keep going. Keep going. Don't let me cut you off.
And then we said, okay, so we've got that down. Our scheduling is intelligent. Now we need to be able to maximize every opportunity. And if we were really honest with ourselves, we were not doing solid MPIs on every single guest that came through. So we put a huge focus on that as well and taking that percentage from about 67% to 97% in 2 months. And those are getting videos and pictures and all those other buzzwords that everyone's talking about. And they're great, but they're only as great as you make them.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's interesting that you said that. I just had this conversation with a dealer literally last week, and they were telling me they're not at 100%, which, is surprising to me because we count on that report to keep the shop busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we don't, how do we not do an MPI report? That's just really surprising to me that wouldn't happen all the time. In my highest performing stores, it's very difficult to get to 100% for other reasons, but I mean, damn near, and again, it's 100% video and it's pictures and all of these things. I think those are the things that we're always putting on the radar. But for me, that's a great guest experience. And you know that because as soon as you don't send that video, they're already like, well, I didn't get a video this time. You're like, no, we're doing things right. But I find a lot of times that, that is part of the guest experience. It's not about necessarily the upsell. It's more about customers need to know what's going on with their car, and not to mention that we're safeguarding ourselves because we don't want something to go wrong and then we're to blame because we didn't say nothing about it.
Exactly. And a lot of this has been born out of the fact that we've just been trying to push stuff through. Right. So now we have to really stop ourselves and go, okay, let's be efficient. Let's be intelligent. Let's make sure we're delivering a great guest experience, and the rest will come, right? As long as we do those things very well, we'll be great. And we are. I mean, we're up 11% in customer pay year over year. And that's not the story in a lot of stores. The first month we implemented these changes, we were up $40, or actually 42 exactly, per RO. And we weren't even nailing it yet. Like, we weren't even at the maximum capacity of those changes as far as effectiveness. So I can't wait to see what the next couple of months hold for us.
Okay, speaking of that, so what happens next for you? So are there other challenges like that you've just said, that have become more prevalent and you're really trying to get your arms around it? What are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now, and what do you foresee having to modify? And I think sometimes, even for me, I see like an injection of a lot of technology, and it's reshaping roles, it's reshaping processes. What do you got going on?
Absolutely. So that change of the way we were scheduling work was a massive one. We've been on that for over a year now.
Okay.
That was huge. And that does leverage technology. That's leveraging a very large portion of technology in order to maximize our shops every single day with the right mix of work that also keeps our techs happy.
Yeah.
It's not fair for them to have the ebbs and flows. Everyone keeps talking about a technician shortage, but I don't necessarily have one because we're doing smart things for our techs. The next thing was cutting time out where time does not belong. I was watching our advisors go let technicians know that work had been upsold. No, that takes way too much time. Like, why are our feet moving like that? So when we rolled out a lot more technology in our lanes, the technicians are notified immediately when the customer approves it. The advisor doesn't even have to be involved. Yeah, and so time savings, efficiency, like all throughout. Messaging apps, which we're using, which we've had for a long time. We added a parts runner a while ago. That was huge. So just really focusing and saying, I can't change these things. I can't change Ford's number of recalls. That's not going to be anything in my control. What I can control is the efficiency in my shop and the way that makes my technicians feel throughout the day to make sure that they're staying with me.
Yeah, no, you are locked in. This, we've had a tech shortage in many stores for some time now. But I think this is a really great point that you make, is that we're always looking to retain our own team members and also listen to them and see what some of their gripes are and how can we modify these changes. A lot of times when I'm teaching classes to the advisors, I'll meet with the technicians and I say, hey, this is what I'm covering with the advisors, just so you know, because the video can actually help you guys stay busy. But like, for example, if I just give them a little info on what I covered with the advisors, hey, I'm telling them to talk a little bit more in detail about the job that's needed and why. And you guys can set it up by zooming in on the actual problem instead of just rolling over it or having a shaky video or not pulling the tires off and putting it up on the lift to show the brake wear, stuff like this. But I think a lot of times in nurturing each team member's success, it allows us to retain and ensure that people are happy. I really love what you just said about just spending time and letting people know that we are willing to change our processes to do better. And anyways, you talked a little about data and life cycle thinking in your dealership. Could you just share a little about share with us what that means? And And I just got to thinking about something before you answer that, because you had said something about being more efficient in the shop, and I just I kind of want to zoom in on this for a second, and it might tie into this question I just asked you. But when you say about efficiency and sometimes leveraging tech, one of the things that was holding up a lot of jobs is not coaching the customer on our process. So we coach in the team members, but coaching the customer on changes in our process, because you guys have had customers that have been coming to your dealership for decades, and they get locked in on a process, and then I remember saying to your team, it doesn't matter. You can tell them we've changed our process, and this is why. Always explaining why, saying more. Could you maybe expand on that? This is something that we had talked about with your team, but it moves everything along faster, improves the process.
Yeah, so we talk about efficiency all the time, and a lot of that can be driven by the customer themselves. I just told you, as soon as a customer approves the work, my technician knows. There's no lag time in between that. There can't be. We have to get everything in and out, and that brings a better customer experience as well. But it only does that if you tell them, hey, you got to be focused on your phone today. We're going to send you pictures and videos. There's going to be estimates linked to that. Yes. I'm happy to go over them with you, and I will call you. However, if you see anything on that list where you're like, absolutely, let's get that done, thumbs up it, my technicians know immediately, and we get to rocking. And that actually allows us better data in our lifecycle marketing as well. If the customer declines that, that goes directly into our database. We know exactly what to talk to that customer about. Or is this a trade-in opportunity? No one is doing acquisitions great right now besides, Carvana and all these major competitors. Why are we not getting in front of our customers at that moment of a declined service with the right messaging, not just in our marketing, but in our team's alerts? Yes. So my advisors, not only do my more experienced advisors get text message alerts when a customer declines a major job, but we're rolling that out to our sales managers as well. Hey guys, we've got this in the lane right now, major work needed, declined service. That's an opportunity for us to truly help our guests too. Like if they're stuck in this situation and it is a major need for them, let's go see how we can lend a helping hand. That's what we're about, and that really rings true to our messaging.
Yeah, and the thing is that's a whole community process right there. It requires more than one person to get involved in that and alerting it and saying, hey, this is a new process for all of us. Because a lot of times you can see service and sales butt heads and it's one customer. But if we're not nurturing that customer in the service department, we're not going to sell them another car. Particularly in this moment where they have a big service bill, it might make sense for them to transition to a new car. And when you have the service team that's right there talking to that customer about this, it's not just like, well, let me tag in a salesperson and see what they can do. It's like that for me. It's almost like a cold transfer, and it serves us better to spend a little bit of time with the customer and say, this isn't your only option here. Let me see if I can work with our other team members here and see if there's something that we can do to help you in this situation. They're already highly stressed. Nobody wants to get hit with a bill. If this is your mode of transportation, and I like what you're saying a lot. I do think there's a lot of weakness in this moment here, but this is how we build loyalty.
Absolutely. And this is also how we deliver the best option to the customer. They need options. We're not here to tell them exactly what they need to do all the time. I really dislike that mindset from dealers. We're here to deliver the best options that we can for them and guide them through whichever process we see best as far as the fit goes. But up to them, the decision is ultimately up to them. And allowing them a lens into our data is so helpful too. Hey, this is the value of your vehicle over time. This is where we're sitting with warranties. Does it make sense to trade out, or does this make a little more sense? Here's how we can help you on the lending side, things like that.
Oh yeah, I love this. It's a bigger picture. It's not just a handoff. It's let's look at the details. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at them side by side and see what makes the most sense for you. Now we're actually being of service to the customer, and they don't feel like we're trying to sell them. We're trying to solve a problem for them by looking at options. I love everything that you're saying. This is one of the things that I love the most about you is not only do you care so much about the guest and the way that they feel at every moment of their interactions with every team member in your company, but you also do the same for every person in your team. Internally, I feel like you're nurturing people at all times. You're open to hearing suggestions. You're really locked in on their success and ensuring that we're staying relevant, Not to go off, but customer pay is something that, I lock in on all the time. I just feel like it goes hand in hand with loyalty, and so you're working with your service advisors, your technicians, your BDC to improve a lot of the communications and always pressing transparency and value conversations so customers are more inclined to say, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, let's do it. Do what you got to do. But it's not just the work today. We're looking for that momentum. So what kind of changes? What changes in your process? What kind of culture shifts, maybe you put into place to make this work for your company?
Let's talk about a hot topic, AI. Everybody wants to talk about AI right now. So if we're talking about change, it has to be, AI has to be in the conversation if we're talking about change. So along with the predictive insights based on a customer's experience with us, declined work, how long they've owned a vehicle, equity position, all of those things merged together from service and sales really gives us a full picture of where the customer's at in their life cycle. That allows us to do a few things. One, market to them efficiently and effectively, not just blanket messaging,
right,
but it also allows my BDC, my service BDC, to do things like outreach. We're getting data from the OEM on, hey, this is what's going on with the vehicle. Why are we waiting for the customer to schedule when we know they have a check engine light on? Reach out, helping hand. Hey, this is what you've got going on. We saw this alert on your vehicle. We just want to make sure we can be of assistance. What can we do? How can we help? That is major. You can't just rely on customers always coming to you. The world is getting more and more about the outreach side and the convenience side. We need to be offering those conveniences to them. Hey, I saw that you only scheduled this for your mileage interval. Actually, you're due for this, this, and this. No big deal if you don't want to schedule that, but it's our job to provide the information. Exactly. Yeah. These are supercomputers on wheels. There's no excuses to not walk a customer through what their vehicle needs, do it well, and then also let them know about recalls or whatever. We're a Ford dealership. We got plenty of those. Yep. They should not be coming in and missing. They shouldn't be coming in and missing anything on MPIs, options that they needed to do in order to keep their vehicle in tip-top shape. Again, it's up to them, but we need to be the ones that are providing the information so that they can best suit their needs. Yeah, exactly.
Proactively. I think that's the ticket. And I really enjoyed that conversation because you're right. We have so much technology. That's why all these apps, were given to the customer from the manufacturer, and why you're spending so much time on delivery. To ensure that customers see the value of the brand alone, let alone our team members who are running through the plays with them so they understand how to use this stuff. But then on our side of it, you got your team proactively contacting when they see the alert that the customer's getting. I mean, listen, we all live in a busy world, and so sometimes, and I can't tell you how many Ubers I get into every week and how many check engine lights are on. And I'm always like, is this a thing with the Uber? I don't know if you've done this too before, but I think as cars have advanced and the buttons are very clear, I love that becomes something that's part of your BDC, because a lot of times we get tied up on recall calls, unused maintenance, first oil change, things like this. But this is really progressive thinking, and not a lot of people, listen, I work with hundreds of stores. I see a lot of service BDC. No one has said that.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just leveraging the AI to replace the BDC. I don't necessarily disagree with that based on the strength of your BDC, but based on our team, it makes a lot more sense to enable their outreach to be smarter. This also enables my advisors to speak more empathetically. We have them using AI sometimes to write their responses. Hey, how do I add a little bit more empathy into this? Because like you said, the job is a grind. So we're training our advisors with AI in many ways. Exactly, in order to be a little more empathetic. Or let's say you're a brand new advisor. What does this even mean? I'm about to call this customer for a $2,000 repair. What the heck even is this? Thank goodness our techs are doing a great job in doing videos and explaining a lot of things. So they're learning through that, but then they also need to speak intelligently to the customer. So they're using that to get a little bit more headway and a faster uptick on their training curve as well.
Well, AI is something that I've put into all of my training activities, and you've seen it firsthand for both sales and service. But I think it's important because you want to ensure that the team members are using today's technology in their everyday work to become more efficient. And I actually, let's lock in on one thing. You were like empathy. The AI can show them how to become more empathetic, because that's easy to say. We should show more empathy when customers are coming in for service because something's going on with their car. You know, that helps us to make better connections with people. It lets people know that we're listening and we care and we want to solve the problem for them. But not everybody knows how to do that. AI is a great training tool, you know, to be able to go in there and say, not only just translating what the technician says, if you're new and you don't know the jobs and you don't know what they do. You don't want to just try to, you know, repeat what the technician says because you don't know what they're saying. You can't explain it. But this is why I love what you're saying. It's that it becomes an everyday practice and encouraging them to get into GPT or the like and really start to explore what we could do to upgrade our conversations, right?
Absolutely. And within the tool, what do we always fail to do? Go through the customer's life cycle. If we're utilizing AI to help ourselves do that in a more efficient manner, amazing. Hey, I know you normally get this, and this done. It's time for this. Are we ready?
I love it.
Hey, I see that you always do the better package when you come in with us. Here's what we need today, and it lines with that. You know, making sure that we're always speaking to them and thanking them for their prior business and sounding like informed individuals.
Listen, a lot of the tools that our service departments are now have at their fingertips, if they don't know how to use it, then you're not going to get that outcome. But there is a lot of AI in taking the customer record and the history and what did they decline and what do we anticipate that they need. You don't have to go look for that stuff. It's boom, it's right there on your screen. And, you know, it does become about us leveraging that technology to have a better experience, better conversations with the customer. Because, listen, people want to know, if I decline something and you didn't bring it up again when I come back in, I'm going to be even more skeptical of a car dealership, you know? And so the technology is out there now where we're looking at a recap of where they've been and what's necessary. Not only is it helping our technicians with, you know, a heads up of, you know, things to lock in on, but it helps everybody have more sophisticated and more present conversations with people, so people don't forget or think that, you know, we've forgotten about them, we forgot about the services that were important. We're a safety company. We're here to keep people safe in their cars, but AI is doing a good recap for us. You just got to use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just have to use it. And that's where training comes in.
Right.
You know, we talk to all these dealers, and, you know, I just got back from a 20 group and I'm surrounded by very, very bright people. And they're on the cutting edge of a lot of things too.
Okay.
But then I go and talk to other dealers and they're not doing training for their advisors. And they're like, you know, service, I don't get it. You know, we're down in service. And I'm like, how many times have you trained your sales team? And how many times have you trained your advisor team? And oh, by the way, advisors, yes, advisors need sales training. They do not know how to sell. We don't bring them in and explain to them how to sell. We bring them in and we drill them in quick lane with 1 million customers a day on basic maintenance. And they learn more about cars than many times they do about sales and people. So that's on us. Like, we need to be the ones that are helping them, because better sales tactics relate to better efficiency. Once again, all we're doing is we're trying to speed it up while still keeping the high level of trust that we need to as dealerships.
You know, it seems so basic, yet it's not. And I can attest to that as a sales and a service coach. We oftentimes will spend more time with the sales department when we have more frequency, you know, in the service department. And a lot of times these guys don't see themselves as salespeople when they're supposed to be the strongest salespeople and really, you know, guest relations team members in the entire dealership. I'm guessing that looking ahead, that's probably the area that you're targeting the most, is spending more time with your advisors and helping them through this technology adjustment and really helping them with that life cycle and that customer and what that experience looks like, those touch points looks like. If there's something else that you could think about as your next big focal point, your vision for fixed ops at Richmond Ford, what is it?
breaking down the silos. So we're continuing to break down the silos. I have a massive wholesale parts operation. Do you think we talk to our customers who come in for, maybe they have a 350, they have a huge fleet of them, and they come in and they talk to us because they're here for a recall. We're the only ones who can do it. Do you think we sit down and say, hey, I know you've got your own shop and you're able to do a lot of this, but we can absolutely help you on the parts side? Or, kind of what we talked about earlier on the sales side, like breaking down those silos.
Yeah.
Because it's better for the guest and it's better for the business. There shouldn't be all this finger pointing of, hey, you did this, or you need to come talk to this customer about that. It's one team. This is our motto, actually. One team, one mission, going further together. And until we continue to break down these silos, we're not going to get there. And data is the way to do that. Like I said, alerting the sales team, hey, this is what's going on. They walk over with a warm outreach to the customer on a major decline bill, ready to go with options. Not just, hey, let me put a value on your vehicle, it's worth this. No.
Right.
No. We are so far beyond that, and we have to be so far
so
beyond
basic.
that. Yes, with sales, parts, and service, all three need to be integrated together, and we need to bring the best experience for our customers. Data is going to help us do that. AI is going to help us do that, and not being afraid of change is where we have to go.
Well, you just recapped it for me. Thank you for that. I have to tell you, Kayla, it's always a pleasure to know you, to be a part of your successes, and just to share conversation with you. You're always so insightful. You're just right on the mark. I love your leadership. I really do. And I'm not just saying that.
Thank you.
See thousands of people. And I'm really glad that you could share the time with us on this show. This is the first time I've ever been on a camera interview. So I feel a lot more comfortable talking to you because we talk shop all the time. And it's just really nice to hear your customer pay strategies, your life cycle, data-driven strategies. You just, data-first mindset, really. And thank you so much for giving our listeners today just a little intel from your minds and your successes, and thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, guys, until next time, I'll see you on loyalty-based sales strategies, and commit to one small change this week. It only takes one small change to get this thing popping.
Thanks for watching Loyalty-Based Sales Strategies with Jen Suzuki, exclusively on CBT News.